Michael Schumacher has won the San Marino Grand Prix in very difficult circumstances for him following the death of his mother. Schumacher, though, 10 points. First win of the season. Kimi Raikkonen, 8. What a consistent performer the young Finn is, always on the podium. Rubens Barrichello, 3rd place. Ralf Schumacher, 4th. David Coulthard doing well to finish 5th after starting down on the grid. Fernando Alonso, 6th place. And Montoya, who had all sorts of problems in the pits, down in 7th. And Jenson Button, we didn't see too much of him, but he's made his point this afternoon. So Kimi Raikkonen maintaining the lead in the championship, and with 1 to 8 scoring this season, it really is tough for drivers to catch up, and Schumacher's still got plenty of work to do. He's still a point behind David Coulthard, just a point ahead of Fernando Alonso. Barrichello on 14, Ralf Schumacher on 13, and Fisichella, the Brazil winner, and Montoya both on 10 points. And the Constructors' Championship, McLaren have passed the 50 mark, 51 points. Ferrari still a long way adrift on 32, Renault 26, Williams 23, Jordan 10, and Sauber 8, and BAR have 7. We're going to go to the press conference now. Michael Schumacher has been replaced in there by Ferrari's Jean. We can get another Ferrari view now. Delighted to be joined live by Ross Brawn. Many congratulations, Ross. I would like to talk to you first of all about Michael Schumacher, and how much of a debate was there before the race whether Michael should perform here at all?
It was really his decision, Jim. There's nothing we could do except give him all the support we could. We would have understood whatever he wanted to do. So it was really his decision, and we supported him in that.
And was he absolutely 100% sure the moment he walked through the gates here that he was going to race?
We didn't discuss it. We just told him it was his decision, and he made his decision, and obviously gave the team a tremendous boost today. In very difficult circumstances, we were delighted with the result.
I think it's fair to say that you, being an influential figure in the team, you had no choice. You just had to leave it to Michael whether he was going to race or not.
Yeah, of course. There's nothing you can do in those sort of circumstances except give people as much support as you can.
How do you estimate what he's done today, bearing in mind his personal circumstances?
Well, it's exemplary. I mean, he's given the team such a boost today, and timing-wise crucial, because we'd had a very difficult start to the season, and if we'd had a difficult race this weekend, it just becomes more and more difficult to get yourself out of the hole. So to have done what he's done today has just been such a great fillip to the team, tremendous boost to everyone. I think we can go on now for the rest of the season with a bit more confidence.
Do you feel your real season has just started?
Well, I hope so. I hope it builds from here, because we don't want to repeat the first 3 races, not from our point of view anyway.
And just tell us about the strategy, the 3-stop strategy, and what made you think of that one?
Well, it's a lot to do with the tyre characteristics, the Bridgestones. So, we knew that perhaps the most difficult thing would be somebody on a 2-stop with the Michelins, which is what we expected McLaren to do. So, yeah, Michael's race truly was against McLaren. We knew that at the very beginning, because we could see from their pace, we suspected that they would be doing a 2-stop. So yeah, we were a bit anxious at the beginning, because Ralph was effectively holding Michael up, holding both the cars up. So really we were following that quite closely. But it was a lot to do with the tyre characteristics. You know, the Bridgestones are very good for the initial period, and they tend to tail off, whereas the Michelin's the opposite. So with the Michelin, ideally you want long stints. Quite the opposite with Bridgestones.
Ross, as always, we appreciate your insight. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Well done.
Thank you.
And when you rejoin us, we will have the views of Mark Blundell and Tony Jardine. We'll be right back. You're back with us, wrapping up the San Marino Grand Prix. Let's talk about that early Schumacher battle at the start, with Ralph just holding off Michael.
Ralf Schumacher was doing a very good job, but ultimately he just didn't have the level of performance in the car or the tyres. Michael Schumacher just doing an exemplary job there, just sussing him out, seeing where his weaknesses were. Ralph kept pushing as hard as he could, but the more he pushed, the more he uses up that goodness in the tyre, but inevitably Michael was going to get the better of him. He showed his nose several times, let him know that he was in the hunt. And Michael just pushed and pushed until he wore his brother down, basically. But You know, I think fantastic performance by Michael Schumacher today.
You've got to just take your hat off to Michael Schumacher winning under these circumstances today.
Oh, both the brothers, you know, battling bravely there. And I also noticed they went off the line cleanly, you know, no chop across from Michael today. It was nice and clean. But then they raced really cleanly, and it was very, very close. It was a great spectacle.
And I didn't mention Rubens Barrichello, and he's up there on the podium, and he's done well for Ferrari. They'll settle for that.
Do you know what, Jim? I take, aside from the Schumacher's battle, I say Rubens Barrichello, for me, was the man of the whole weekend, because he's tried all weekend. He's had all sorts of problems. He's been off the track, on the track. Look at that. Even closing in right after that second pit stop when the right front wheel dropped him, and that's the difference between second place and third place for him. He's been tremendous all weekend and a great asset to Ferrari.
And the good thing about this year's championship is just so tough for anybody to catch up. No one's going to run away with it either, are they?
It's still open, isn't it? But now Ferrari are back again. We see that performance, Michael Schumacher and the car. And Michael today, driver of the day, but for me, the team of the day was McLaren. I think they did a great job.
Well, we got a text message. It comes from George Barnsley, in fact, and it says with McLaren and Ferrari about to launch new cars, we expect to see that new Ferrari next time out in Spain in a couple of weeks' time. What can the smaller teams do to catch up? What do you think about that, Mark? Pray?
Smaller teams, I don't think we want to worry about the smaller teams. Some of the bigger teams, like Williams, have got their heads scratching at the moment. But the problem is these guys are going to bring the new cars out. They're going to be radical designs, half a second step forward. Yes, it's going to be a big issue. Some of the smaller teams are going to suffer with lack of resources. They're going to struggle to make any gap or any difference, but that's motor racing.
Well, you know, McLaren again showed today that they had a car that wasn't working here, and I totally agree with Mark. They're my team of the weekend as well, because they didn't have the pace. They had certainly some grace, but they definitely had the guile, because, you know, during the two-stop and the strategy was absolutely superb. I think McLaren did a superb. Here they are, first race of Europe, leading the constructors and still hanging on to the lead in the championship for the drivers. Ask Robin Hood what he thinks.
What do you feel, though, finally, about this place, about the Imola, the San Marino Grand Prix? Do you know, I get the feeling this could be our last time here.
I'm seriously concerned. You know, we've already lost Spa-Francorchamps, great driver's circuit. This is a fantastic circuit. It's the home of Ferrari. If we lose this as well, where else are we going to go in Europe?
Tony, what do you think about that? I mean, you have to say, looking at the crowd here, we've seen this place just after the race absolutely packed and jumping.
Well, from whatever the reasons, whether it's Easter or whether it's the loss of the sort of the spectators coming through because of the price, etc., they can't afford to have two Grand Prix in Italy anymore. It's costing them too much. It's going to end up just at Monza. That's my feeling.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Tony. Mark, thank you very much indeed. Of course, we will have highlights. We'll have more reaction from Imola here on ITV1 just before midnight, and that show repeated, by the way, ITV2 tomorrow at 7 o'clock. And our next Grand Prix weekend, well, we go to Spain, and Fernando Alonso guaranteed a great reception. We have our normal comprehensive service from Barcelona in a couple of weeks' time. Qualifying midnight on the Friday, second qualifying 12:40 live on the Saturday, and the race live just after midday on the Sunday. Well, Michael Schumacher really kick-starting his fight back here, the self-styled German with an Italian heart, winning on a day really when he and brother Ralph have all our sympathies. Thank you very much for being with us. Goodbye to you all.
Formula One on ITV, sponsored by Toyota.
If you'd like to know more about Formula One, the website address sponsored by Toyota is itv.com/F1.